guys, how you doing? We got a field trip day. I'm out here way up north in Colorado, and yeah, this is an interesting lot you got here. So this is my friend Scott. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
Matt, nice to see you as always.
All right, so just real quick history here. If you're a fan of this channel, you've a large part of it is this guy you have to thank for it. Two reasons. First of all, Scott is actually my first ever paying customer, which actually helped this hobby of mine to transition into kind of a business that I operated, although a lot's for charity, as you know. But Scott was my first paying customer. I think I answered your Craigslist ad to put some shocks in a car, which, by the way, is one of my earliest videos. I'll put a link to it if you haven't seen it. It's one of my first videos. And then after that, Scott was so happy with it, you went and you told everybody at your congregation, and all of a sudden, that Sunday, like 7 years ago, that Sunday at 11 a.m. my phone started ringing off the hook, and the rest became history. And then soon after, I started the channel. So you've had, how many videos have we done on your cars? Because you have a lot of cars.
I want to say just about half a dozen, but he deserves all the credit for this. I mean,
oh, well.
He's an American institution.
Well, thanks. Okay, so Scott called me up, and this is going to be kind of interesting because I don't have a lot of stuff with me. He's got a no start on the Geo Metro, which you guys will remember this Geo Metro was in a video before, on two videos, one on the pay channel, where we chased down a cam crank sensor issue that turned out to be a grounding out wire. So maybe there's another issue with that, although I know I fixed that. So we're going to look at that. And then there's also an Isuzu truck that has some kind of really horrible noise. We may or may not show that. But we're going to start off with this one because it's going to be interesting. So tell me what we got going on here, Scott.
I would use this to drive back and forth to Park County, which is like 100+ miles each way. And then one day it just didn't want to start. So like most people, I moved right on with my money to another car.
Okay. Yeah, he's got a lot of cars. We'll probably see that as we look around this giant lot he has way up here in Farmville. You got any cows here? This looks like a place there'd be some cows or horses.
Horses. I see the girls ride their horses down the street, so it is quite rural.
It is a little bit rural up here. Let's do this. So does it even turn over?
It does want to turn over, but it doesn't want to give any oomph for combustion.
Okay, so it won't start. So cranking no start is what we've got, kind of like the last time. Let's go ahead and take a listen to it.
Certainly.
Okay, Scott, go ahead and crank it. Let's see what happens. All right, stop. Okay, as you can hear, the battery's really weak. It's not even trying to start. I think what we're going to start with is looking to see if we've got fuel. So hang on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just spray some fuel into the carburetor. And if this is a fuel problem, this car will at least run for a little bit. Go ahead and crank it. Made absolutely no difference. None whatsoever. So because this is sounding very similar to the problem we had, I think it was 3 years ago or something, we're going to go right for the fuse. And if that's all it is, then we'll have to still pursue what's causing a fuse to blow a second time, especially after I fixed it. So we're going to take this fuse cap off. I'm going to look for fuel injection 15. This is it right here. This 15 amp fuse right here is what was blowing last time, and as we can see, the fuse is good. So this is not the same problem that we had last time. So we know fuel didn't make a difference. We know the fuse isn't blown, so we still have to check for spark, and if we don't have spark, then we're back to another probable cam crank sensor issue, and that would suck. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take my test light, going to get it onto a very good ground. All right, so we're going to take one of these spark plug wires and we're going to see if we get spark. I'll try to catch this on the camera, but in daytime it's kind of hard. Scott, you want to go ahead and crank that over? Okay, stop. Oh, wait, there might have been a spark there. Hold on, go ahead, do it again. Okay, stop. Okay, I don't know if you could see that, guys, but there was an extremely anemic spark. It probably didn't show up on camera because of the daylight, but the spark jumped probably, boy, I mean, not even an eighth of an inch, I would say. Well, one of the other things, we got an extremely weak battery, which is a variable too. But because we had spark, this is not going to be an issue where the cam crank sensor is not reporting because we do have spark. Now, is the spark because the engine is just so incredibly weak? And I don't think so. So I'm almost thinking this potentially could be a coil issue. So what we're going to do is this. Well, what I want to do is I want to try measuring from the coil. So if we look up here, we do have a distributor on this vehicle, and then we've got a wire running right to the coil here. So what I want to do is I want to take my spark measurement from the coil, and that's going to remove any possible high resistance to the distributor and through the wiring. So we're going to measure right from the coil, and this should give a good healthy spark. This battery says 1012. This battery from 2012, Scott? Yeah, there's a sticker on the battery. It says October 2012. It's 2021 now. Was this the same battery when I was messing with this car years ago? It's unbelievable. Man, it's a miracle battery. A Duracell. It's an Energizer. It says it's an Energizer. That bodes pretty well for Energizer, having a 9-year-old car battery, especially parked in the frickin' mountains in Denver. So I'm going to try to zero in on this coil. And guys, we should see a very strong, healthy spark here. All right, go ahead. The spark should easily reach my test light. Oh, look at that. Go ahead, keep going. Okay, stop. Okay, so what do we got there, guys? We saw strong, healthy spark from the coil. Now, again, you guys know, if you've seen my 2 videos ago, you know that this is no longer a test that I completely rely on. That air gap test is still possible. It can give a false negative in that this coil could be bad. But that is enough that it should start the car. Also, this is not the same issue as before. This car does not have a problem with the camera crank sensor because we do have signal here to the coil. So this is not the same issue as last time. But when we measured the coil at the spark plug wire, it barely jumped. So I'm thinking what you've got is a resistance issue here, Scott, is my guess. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this down to see where the minimum issue is. One of the things is you've got like 12 cars around here. We can always borrow some spark plug wires off of something. So what we're going to do next, guys, is we know we've got strong spark from the coil. We know we had weak spark at the plug wire to the plug. So we're going to just trace the system down and find out where the resistance is. Let me grab my volt ohm meter and let's see what we measure. Right now, I'm going to say that this looks to me like a failure to get a healthy spark. All right, guys, so here's what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is test my meter for resistance. And as you know, I'm not a fan of measuring resistance on cables because you can absolutely get a false reading with it. You can have a false negative on here. That is, you can have a bad wire, but still it reads near spec. And that's because of the many filaments of wire, that if you still have some good filaments in there, but a lot of the filaments are bad, reading an ohm measurement doesn't really distinguish that. So what we're going to do is measure our resistance on the wire from the coil to the distributor. And you see we get about 7,000 ohms, which I imagine is pretty close to spec. So that's not an issue. What we're also going to do, we're also going to measure here. This is going to be the wire that I initially tried to measure the spark from, and we're going to measure resistance on this wire. So this is the spark plug wire for whatever, it's either number 1 or number 3. And you see that also reads exactly the same. It reads about 7,000 ohms. So it's not a wire resistance issue. But what we did see is we saw much less spark out of here than we did from the coil. And what that's telling us is either, well, we don't have a loss of resistance here, but again, that can be a false negative. So what we're going to do is we're going to test the spark gap here on this wire, which is from the coil to the distributor. If we have strong spark from that, then our loss of spark is somewhere in the distributor. That would be the only explanation. But again, we don't have a camera crank sensor issue this time, I'm sure of that. Scott, you want to go ahead and crank that? Oh wait, let me zoom the camera in so we should be able to see the spark here. All right, Scott, go ahead and, oh wait, let me test my test light first. Make sure I don't get shocked. All right, go ahead. All right, look at that. Stop. That's a good strong spark. That's a really good strong spark. Still, with fuel added, the car didn't start. That's strong. That spark looked good to me. So I want to try one more time. We're going to try one more time and measure the spark at this wire to the spark plug. And if it's still really weak and anemic, I'm going to make a call that there's an issue with the distributor here. We need a new distributor cap, would be most likely. We might even be able to take it apart and clean it or something and just get this running. Okay, we're focused on the spark plug wire for either number 1 or number 3, not sure what it is, 3-cylinder engine. We're going to recheck that spark. We got 2 sparks to compare with. We have one from the coil directly, it was really strong. We have one at the end of the coil wire to the distributor, it was equally strong. The first time we measured this, it was really weak, but we're going to test this again. Go ahead. That won't jump. There's a jump there. Okay, stop. Yeah, it wouldn't jump. It wouldn't jump. So the other thing is there fuel? So while we're cranking, we should smell fuel. And I do. There's fuel getting in there. Scott and I both smell fuel for sure, right?
Old fuel at that.
That's a good point, Scott. So Scott mentioned, if you didn't hear it, it could be old fuel because this car has been sitting for a really long time. You know, in my experience, that's pretty overrated. The car would still run, maybe not as good or something, but to have a complete no start because of bad gas, to be honest with you guys, that's really kind of a myth.
I can attest to that as a lawn care guy, is that I've left aerators, mowers, power rakes for seasons, and they still start with gas and don't worry about it.
Yeah, you've got to have gas that's like 20 years old before it doesn't start.
Oh, I can't fix your car. Must be old fuel.
Yeah,
a mechanic's myth.
There you go, Scott. You Q credits. That's exactly right, Scott. I can't fix it, so it must be old fuel. Oh my God, perfect, Scott. So we are just missing spark on this. So it's not got enough oomph to jump the gap on the plug. So there's something with that distributor, Scott. So we're going to take that apart. So we're going to get this distributor cap off and we'll be back. All right, Scott's running to get a screwdriver for me to get this distributor cap off. And one of the questions some of you guys may ask is, why am I not starting off with a scan tool? That would have been the best, obviously the best way to get data. And the reason is because I don't have my scan tool with me. Left my scan tool in my other car. And I don't have any scan tools with me, so we're just going to have to go with this old school. Yeah, it would be beautiful if I could plug in my scan tool and see if there's any codes that would have given me a direction, but that's why we're not going with the scan tool today. So, you know, sometimes you still got to rely on the old school technique. You just got to use what's available to you. And right now I've got a basic tool set, digital multimeter, and test light. That's all I've got right now. Scott's got this multi-tool. Did you get this for Christmas or something? Or all right. So what we're going to do is just file off the crud from the... Oh my gosh, look at all that. You see all that? Big chip just came off of there. All that. See it? Yeah. So we're... I hope that got caught on camera. That was pretty cool, actually. A big giant chunk of corrosion just came right off of there. Well, so, oh, there's another one. Big giant chunk of it. Yeah. So that corrosion obviously explains the loss of spark, because that creates a high resistance. So we're going to clear all that out. Still need a new distributor cap, most likely. What I'm also going to do is use the back of the file here. We're going to get the corrosion off the rotor. That contact in there looks clean. I think this may do it. That'd be interesting. So if this is it, we just need a new cap and rotor.
And plugs. I mean, you want to change everything at the same time.
Yeah, I would agree that changing the plugs and wires, also a good thing. This is a part where it's justified because we know we have a weak secondary ignition spark here. So this time it's okay to do it, but just to do it on a guess, oh, the car won't start, let's change plugs and wires. You know how I feel about that, right, Scott? Yeah. You know better than most. You've been here before the channel started. All right, this thing should start now, so I'm going to go ahead and start it. Let's see here. There it is. Oh. Okay. Well, there we go. Oh, look at all the smoke. Your throttle cable's sticking. All right. Well, there we go. Runs like a champ. Yeah, we need some, Scott, do you have any WD-40 or something? Your throttle cable is sticking really bad. All right, guys, there you go. No scan tool, basic tools, basic know-how, fast tech method. We got this car running. Seems like it's working now. That when I first started it, you could hear it was really revving out, high rev, and it's because the throttle cable is really gunky, but it seems like it's freed up now. So, all right, that's a fix. Hey, Scott, maybe we can look and see what else is going on. I'm gonna look around your. What are you doing here?
Putting oil in it before I end up changing an engine.
Yeah, good idea.
And let me remind everybody that the last mechanic that looked at this said, "Oh yeah, there's no compression; it's just an engine."
Yeah. All the time, man. So what is it? The guy that said you need a new engine was a professional mechanic.
When I got to the car, I looked at it. I was like, I'm no tracker, but I don't see any tracks on the ground. I don't even think he was here. I think he's just telling me it needs a new engine, just upsell me an engine.
Wow. Well, it definitely doesn't need a new engine. I think your engine needs a new car, but your car doesn't need a new engine, bro.
Here we are.
All right, we're going to see if we get some bonus footage here while I've still got some camera batteries. So, Scott, what do we got here?
This is the Chevy Colorado badge in the Isuzu i280. You changed the engine in it less than 6 months ago.
Yeah, so this is one where we did an engine swap. Of course, I didn't film that. Engine swaps are just turning bolts. So we got the engine from where? From a salvage yard or?
eBay.
eBay. Okay, so we got the engine off of eBay. So the problem is that it came with, what, a 90-day warranty or a 30-day?
90-day warranty.
90-day warranty. I did the engine swap. After swapping it, the engine ran perfect. Everything was great. And then now he's saying that he's got a no crank, no start or something. You know, we don't know yet if it's a bad engine, although well, we don't know. You know, it also could be something I did with the engine swap. Yeah, I don't think so either. Thank you for that. So yeah, we're going to try to get it started. Of course, on this one, the battery is also dead. So we're going to charge it up with his truck and see what we got. And I'm hoping the way Scott described it is that it was running and making, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just made a terrible noise. And yeah, it's got me a little worried because it's after the warranty. So we'll just see. Remind me, how long ago did I do the engine?
It was like January, February.
So a year ago.
This year.
It was January. Well, last year. Okay, so it was about a year ago. And then when did the engine start to have an issue?
2 months into you changing it.
2 months after?
Yeah.
Well, how come I'm just now hearing about this?
Well, I told you, but you're a little bit busy. Coronavirus, what can you say?
Oh, yeah, coronavirus kind of hit, and my work got a little busy at that point. So you're right. My apologies on that. Well, then in that case,
I moved all the way out here, so it's not
yeah, so if that's the case, so guys, when you get a used engine like that, here, let me explain this. Okay, so this is one where I may have a little bit of responsibility on this, but when you get a used engine, typically they come with a 30-day warranty. This one came with 90, right? And so what the problem is he's saying 60 days in, he started having an issue with the engine. At the time, I was unavailable to come out. I remember now, because I was in the midst of doing a bunch of stuff with COVID because that had just come out. And so I kind of, I don't want to say I blew you off, but I kind of did, and I'm sorry. Well, the problem is that we waited so long before, now that I finally came around here, that the warranty period is long over. So if I was able to come out here, let's say that this engine is bad, we would have been able to get him a replacement engine. Now, you know, the labor with me doing it is still a factor, but we would have had a replacement engine. But the trouble is I kind of screwed up now because I waited so long to come out that if we find the engine was bad, we have no claim on it because it's been a year. And, you know, I needed 10 months ago to make the warranty claim if it's a bad engine. We don't know yet. But the lesson on this is that, you know, I gotta do a little better job keeping track of stuff, I guess, because I may have left him hanging, and if that's the case, we'll make it right. So don't worry. Let's see what we got.
1 out of 100 is still good odds.
1 out of 100, yeah, I've probably done 100 cars for you, yeah. But it still doesn't make it right. Scott, you want to go ahead and turn it over? Go ahead. And it won't even crank. Okay, let's check our voltage. Where's my multimeter? Let's check our voltage, but the problem I'm having is Scott, go ahead and get back in there. I'm going to show you the problem I'm having here, guys. Scott, go ahead and turn on your lights. So look how bright the lights are. I mean, it's midday here, and the lights are super bright. Honk your horn just for a second. All right, go ahead and turn off your lights. So the problem I'm having here, guys, is this car should at least turn over a little bit. I'm going to also get my multimeter just to be sure. The thing I'm getting at is that there's every indication the door chime sounds loud and strong. You can hear the fuel pump very strong. My fear is that the engine's locked up, is what my fear is here. And I don't think I've got a socket large enough that I can tell if this engine is locked up or not. So what we're going to do is, I wish I had my scope with me. We could do an amp draw, but here's what we're going to do. What I'd really like to do is look at the amp draw. It's really the right way of doing this. This is not, but it's kind of a quick dirty. You guys have seen me do this in other videos, I'm sure. So we got a bit of a surface charge on here. Let me see if this is coming up. All right, okay, Scott, go ahead and crank it. And it won't crank it. I'll go ahead and do it again. Okay, so here's the problem. That much draw, and the fact that when Scott was drawing, I want to show you this too. Go ahead and do it one more time. We're charging it up from this other truck. It's been on the charger a long time. Go ahead, do it again. Okay. So what I'm listening to is you can hear that it's putting a tremendous strain on the alternator for his Tundra over here that he's using to charge it. What this is telling me is the starter, although I'm not doing an amp reading, which is the right way to do it, what I'm able to ascertain here is that this starter is drawing a tremendous amount of amperage, which would happen if the starter is not turning, is not moving, because the engine is jammed. I believe the engine is jammed, is what I think is going on here. So one of the things is I need an extraordinarily large socket or wrench or something that I can try to turn the crankshaft by hand. Do you think you have something? We're going to go look and see if I can turn this crankshaft by hand. I'm going to go ahead and look and see if there's any evidence that there's possibility of a blown engine or something. So we're going to check the oil. The oil looks like raw mud out of the ground with a really, really, really burnt smell to it. I don't know if you can see it, but that oil is just black as could possibly be. Oh, and there's aluminum particles on it. Let me see if this will show up on my finger. Your engine's blown, Scott. Yep. Yeah, you don't need the wrench anymore. Your engine's frozen is what's happening. See if, hopefully that's picking up in the camera. Probably not, because it started getting cloudy. But what I'm looking at is just a ton of aluminum particles on here. Oh, thanks, Scott. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see that right there.
Looks like a Tinkerbell living in my engine.
Looks like Tinkerbell living in the engine. Did you pull that from my video? I used to call it that.
You said that when my Toyota Corolla wagon first seized.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's showing up in the camera, but Scott, you can see that, right? It's milky. There's streaks of...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still tempted to try to crank it by hand just in case, but just from that, I can tell you we're in big trouble here. It's just so strange because when I replaced the engine, you drove it home. It ran fine. It ran absolutely great.
Until it made the very similar noise that the first engine made, the calamitous.
Yeah, no, that's right. I remember Scott was saying, hey, the engine, I remember him saying it's running great, everything was fine, and then, yeah, it was about 2 months later, Scott said, hey, I think I'm having a problem. The new engine is making the same noise the old engine did, and then I told you I'd come out when I could, but, and here I am, and I'm a little bit late. Scott, I want to try to turn this engine over by hand. I know it's not going to. Oh, it's going to be a big one, like a 23 millimeter, I imagine.
I don't think I have that.
Do you have a crescent wrench? Let's see here. Oh, it's right here. I just need a crescent wrench, man, a big one though. All right, so what I'm going to do is try to get this crescent wrench on here. I don't want to get my Schrodinger's Box sweater messy. There it goes. Okay. All right, got it. And I can't turn it at all. Oh, the wrench is going to slip off. Nope.
And I can't stress enough A&A, and anybody watching associated with A&A, this was your bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, any way around it, they would have had to live up to their warranty. You know, I'm not going to over talk on that, Scott, too much, but I will say that we don't know that they wouldn't have lived up to their warranty. And also, in all fairness, like I thought the engine was good.
On the Facebook page, there was 4 other unfortunate individuals that spent over $2,000 on it.
Well,
one who was actually honored, they sent him another bad engine and then waited for him to get screwed out of the 90-day.
Yeah.
And then they refused to send him anything else.
Yeah. Well, why didn't you do that research first?
That's an extremely good decision to make.
Yep, this is frozen. All right, well, diagnosis on that one, your engine is seized. When we got this other engine, as always, the first thing I do, I leak down and compression test the new engine. It passed, everything passed. There's no, I did everything that I could when I replaced the engine, saying, yeah, this is a good engine. It's got great equal compression. Leak down is totally passing. We put the engine in, it sounded and ran great. And I don't know if there's some issue. What year is this, Isuzu?
2006.
So I don't know if there's some known issue.
Chevy Colorado. They told me when I asked about an engine rebuild, considering Matt might pull it out for me, go and get it rebuilt. They said that the oil inlet has coffee straw size inlet ports.
Oh.
So they said that on the newer ones that you got 4 years, but it could possibly repeat the same thing. So this is the Chevy Colorado.
Yeah, no, the early 2000s Chrysler 2.7 liter motors had the same issue. This was a known issue where the oil return holes were very, very, very small. And if you weren't religiously replacing the oil, or even if you did for some people, the oil return holes, if they clogged, you've got no oil return. And I know that was a known issue. That was kind of before I started doing car stuff. Of course, but I'm well familiar with that because I've seen a lot of reports of that. So it sounds like possibly a known issue. Maybe by the time I put this video up, I'll do a TSV check and see if I can find anything. But what it sounds like happened is the timing chain failed on this one too, and this time it jammed up and froze the motor. One trick we can do, actually, let's try this real quick. I don't know about this car, but on a lot of cars, where this is on the front cover, your oil fill is on the front cover, we can look down here. Oh, and it's got a big filter thing in it. Well, this is pointless. But basically you can, yeah, thanks, man. No, this ain't gonna work. So on a lot of cars, you can look down here and you can actually see part of the timing chain right through the oil fill hole. On this car, you cannot do that. And that can give you an idea if the timing chain came off, and you can sometimes see far enough down. Right now, I don't have a good way of doing an autopsy on this. All right, let's go back. All right, so here's the thing. I certainly feel like I have some responsibility because you told me about this with 30 days left on the warranty. I didn't come out here. You know, I know you're unhappy with the shop. I'm glad you're not unhappy with me, but you know, this is an unfortunate situation. So Scott, you know, I'm going to do whatever makes you happy. We have this channel mostly because of you, and getting that word of mouth spread out to kind of help me get started with this becoming past a hobby, pretty much, and getting on this channel. So what I'm offering is, if you want to do another engine, I'll swap it for free. But I do have to say that I did due diligence to make sure that I put a good engine in the car. There was no indication of any indications otherwise. And of course, also I looked at the timing chain. Everything was fine. These have timing chains. And there was no indication that there was any issue. You know, in retrospect, now I'm kind of wishing maybe I changed the tensioner or something like that. But, you know, yeah, I guess hindsight's 20/20. But I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you think?
We'll cultivate that in the future. It's
right.
Amazing to be a part of the inception of Matt's channel. When you buy cars for under $5,000, even over $5,000, because this 2006 was my first newer car. It's a good thing to have a mechanic, but it's not a fail-safe. So I'm a big boy, and we'll work something out in the future, because Matt, you've been nothing but fair to me, and you started my Geo Metro. I mean, I can't get a smile off my face. I can't wait to get some tires on it.
I would have been smiling more if I couldn't get it started if it was my car. But, well, hey, man, I appreciate it. So, yeah, you know, I just wanted to put this on film to show you that sometimes things don't go always with the happy ending according to plan. This one didn't, and it happened to the wrong person, the guy that really helped me get started with this. So we're going to make it right. We'll figure it out. We'll make it right. And, you know, if we get another engine for this thing, quite honestly, I mean, if I find that this is a known issue, one of the problems is that you're going to never have confidence driving that truck. So, you know, maybe we'll go look for another car or something. But
that's why I went from a 2006 Isuzu, whatever they want to call it, to a Toyota Tundra.
Yeah. Yeah.
2006.
Well, your Toyota is running fine. It's starting. Everything around here has a dead battery in it. So, you know, so it's doing overwork. All right, man. Well, anything else to look at here?
Not today. We'll get the Suburban over to you when the weather warms up, and then.
Yeah, Suburban needs a steering column on it. So his Suburban is gigantic. It won't fit in my garage. So we're going to wait for warmer weather for that. And all right, well, at least you got your Geo Metro, and you got your Toyota Tundra.
Oh, yeah.
But this Isuzu, we'll see what happens. All right, my friend. Hey, take care, brother. Happy New Year.
Likewise.
Happy New Year to you guys, celebrating 200,000 subscribers. This was number one right here.
Come on, let's make it 500,000. Like, share, and subscribe. Matt Guyver.
Matt Guyver. I like it. All right, guys. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon.